Shradhavali, and we are heading to the last part of it. So we started with, we'll start with Naukar mantra. Om Hreem Namo Arahantanam. Om Hreem Namo Siddhanam. Om Hreem Namo Ayaryanam. Om Hreem Namo Uvajjayanam. Om Hreem Namo Loe Savasahunam. Eso Panchanamukaru Savapavapanasano Mangalancha Savesim Paramam Havai Mangalam. Paramam Havai Mangalam. I express my reverence to Bhagavan Mahavir. I express my reverence to Acharya Tulsi. And we'll start with the verse which we've been singing always. मैं हूँ भेद पर, मैं हूँ भेद पर, जब जाता है ध्यान, संभव बनती है तभी आत्मा की पहचान. संभव बनती है तभी आत्मा की पहचान. So I have a question. When we talk about मैं हूँ and मैं है, then the differentiation between these two. When a child is born, we give the child a name, and the child is identified by that name. But who teaches the child that the child is not the body, but the soul of it? The parents doesn't educate them that you are only the physical existence, right? But still, even while a child is born, and if the child is shown a mirror, like eventually and gradually the child will say, this is me and this is mom, right? So there is something which we come with, and that is what is the problem. There is different concepts in philosophy and psychology that are we blank slate when we come, or is something written on it? And as per Jainism, we are not blank slate. We have come with something written on it. So here, what is written is sanskar. We call it sanskar, we call it karma, we call it instincts. There could be different terms for it, but it's all trying to say the same story, that there is something imprinted on the soul which is the problem creator. So Acharya, when he tried to explore all different aspects of the soul, the bhav, kashai, lesha, man, body, eating habits, livelihood, everything is gone through, and now he comes to the crux of it where he says sanskar parivartan. So ultimately, when we talk about the journey of spirituality, is nothing but the changing of our sanskar. And he says atma nirikshan se jude prayaschit udar tabhi badalta vastuta chir arjita sanskar. We have this sanskar, and the first step towards transforming or healing ourselves, the theme of our camp is transform yourself, right? So we'll talk more about this, that where does this transformation start about? We all make resolutions in the new year, but we do not keep it up even for a month, and things change. Yesterday we had a couple who visited us, and they said, well, Samaniji, we recited something, and they said, you had recited this mantra on this occasion. We said, excellent memory you have, right? We had done that like probably 4 years back, and they still remember that this mantra was chanted then. How long did they keep up with that mantra? How long did they keep practicing it? Hardly for a month. The memory of it is there for 4 years, but the practice, not even for 4 months. So we see that we have memory. Memory is a great tool which we carry, and most of our life goes around memory. And that memory also actually creates sanskara. A person had an accident, and after that, the memory of the accident creates the fear, and every time the person drives to that high lane or whatever road, gets more conscious. Why? The memory of the. So even in our day-to-day regular life thing, we have this memory which has a big impact on us. Sanskara is a memory of our past. Now, when I say memory, it could be two ways. Memory in the sense of the record. There are two ways of memory, right? There is one thing you remember it, and the other thing is there is a record of it written about it, which you have to pay it back. You see the difference between these two memories? Okay, so I'll give you an example. There is nowadays we have these therapists who go to give you the regression therapy, and they take you back into the past life. So when a person has, for example, a person has phobia, and no one is able to find out where this thing comes from. So the psychologist or the expert in regression therapy guides the person, takes the person into the past life. So as a person travels into the past life, there is something which has happened in the past life. So in the past life, the person had drowned in the water and died, so has a phobia for water. Now here, there is an imprint, but it is in the state of memory. When we talk about this has an impact on our life. Like there are certain personality traits which we carry. It's because something had happened in our childhood or past life. And those who don't believe in past life, they would say there is something childhood trauma which is still the person is surviving through and is not able to get out of it. And those who believe in past life would make a claim that the imprint is because of some past life episode or incidents. And majority of the past life stories which we listen, it is about some trauma, some accident, something severely happened. The general casual things, you wouldn't find them talking about. Like the scene which they would see would usually be something which was heart-touching. Like for example, the death of the father, or one's own death, or an accident, or someone had big cheating, or something happened, very kind of nasty thing which they had happened. Those are the memories which one carries from the past life. So the impact of the memory is there in our life. But Jainism goes further beyond and says even the impact of the actions which we did is recorded within us, and we have to pay it back. So when we talk about psychologists, what do they try to do? They try to heal the memories and the actions of those memories, because what is there in your mental record now, they are able to reach to that level. But when we talk about Jain therapy or Jain healing, it's not only those major imprints stored in the memory. It goes even subtle and says even the root cause of that is karma, and furthermore certain things are there in the active memory, but certain things are not in the active memory, but still they exist, and that needs to be healed as well. So the sanskara which we carry is much more than simple memory of the past, and it needs to be dealt where the starting point is prayashchit. If you're not able to go for prayashchit, we're not able to heal ourselves or transform ourselves. When we do samvatsari pratikrama, right, we do all michhami dukkadam. The michhami dukkadam starts from this end to that end. We are going out of the door as well with michhami dukkadam, on the phone calls, on the WhatsApp. How many michhami dukkadam happened within ourselves? Because Achashi is saying it is internal thing which has to change. परिवर्तन संस्कार का सरल नहीं है काम, मूर्ख चलाता बदलने केवल अपना नाम। अंतर में संस्कार है अंतरंग आयास, परिवर्तन के क्षण तभी लेते हैं उच्छ्वास। So the change or transformation is a mechanism which has to happen within us. It is something inside us, and things has to change inside us. There was a person who actually the whole town, they called him a fool because he was kind of a stupid person. He said, people are not good here. He was traveling to the other town. Then there was a passenger who met him and he said, what happened? What's going on? He said, no, these people are not good. I'm going to travel to the next town. But without changing oneself, even traveling to any location or changing the name of the person, will it help? No. So many times we try to change place, position, but if you have not changed our habits, a person is in bad condition because the person is always late to the job, right? The person might quit the job instantly and say, well, this boss wasn't good enough. But what needs to change? The habit of the person to be on time. So the problem with us is we try to dwell in the external world for a cause. We don't think in the internal world. If a husband complains the wife that you're so angry, what would the wife say? Why do you make me angry? Right? Where is the cause? It's bouncing back. So the problem is we are trying to escape from the problem by finding a solution, finding the cause in someone else rather than myself. And as long as the cause is being searched in the others, we will not be able to heal ourselves. There is a Gautam Swami story where Gautam Swami and Anand met. Anand was in his deathbed, he had taken Santhara. Anand was one of the key disciples of Bhagwan Mahavir. When he took Santhara, he was able to see his, he had Avdhi Gyan, and through Avdhi Gyan he was able to see the heaven, the hell, quite a lot of area. When he said Gautam Swami that I'm able to see this area, Gautam Swami told him, no, this cannot be possible for you. You should do Michhami Dukram because you might be making an error in telling the fact. He said, okay, I think I'm saying it right, but if you think I'm mistaken, then I say Michhami Dukram, but probably I'm right and you must be wrong. So he goes back to Bhagwan Mahavir. Bhagwan Mahavir instantly tells him, what you said was wrong, Anand was right, go back and ask Michhami Dukram from him. So he didn't take a second to think about, the moment Bhagwan said, he turned around, he walked back that long distance to that house, because a monk, right? For you to reach here, you might reach in 15 minutes and half an hour, but if someone has to walk here, but he didn't think of walking, the trouble of walking, the being humble enough, he went back. And we know Gautam Swami was the first chief disciple of Bhagwan Mahavir. So there he was able to ask for forgiveness from a lay person for his own error. So the readiness to heal ourselves comes when we are ready to see in ourselves. Because healing has to happen inside us, not outside us. There could be problems in the family, in the society, in the job. But ultimately, what you can only do is deal with your inner self. The complaint is there, right? The moment you see a snake, what is the instant response? Fear. You either fight or run away. Now that instinct which we have, can you counter it? Can we not run away when we see a snake? It's hard, right? It's only Mahavir Swami who can do it. But forget about the snake. If it's just a hyper situation within a family, and then someone is complaining or someone is being aggressive, the snake could be an analogy for us. But can we deal with that peacefully? Can we not fight with it? Can we let it go? And the moment you choose to let it go, You have chosen to not go by your sanskara. Right? And when we say we fight or flight, we carry the instinct of survival. We want to survive. Now, survival of what? When we see a snake, it is survival of the body. But when it is a dispute between husband and wife, it is survival of ego. So what are we looking for? Survival of the body, survival of ego, survival of greed, or survival of the soul? If we look into ourselves and say, I need my soul, the spiritual self, to survive in today's situation, can I live by that? The purpose of life is not survival of outer layers, but survival of my inner core. And the moment we start thinking in that language, that what should win today is my pure self. Whether I lose or win in the external world doesn't matter. Whether you had been declared that in a dispute in the external world that you lost, you were wrong, it's okay if you're wrong in the external world. Ultimately, were you able to heal your inner self? Were you able to deal with your sanskara in your inner self? Were you able to fight your inner self? Is the core thing. Bhagavan Mahavir clearly says, when you have to wage a war, it's not with whom do you fight with? Yourself. The problem is, even if a person is living all alone, right? If you're two, you have problem. What if you're all alone? Will there be no problem? There will be still problems. Why? Because the problem creator is in ourselves. It's not outside. उस समय पति पत्नी नहीं होगा तो भी, you see old people, right? Are they living in heaven? No problem at all. No. They have other problems and other ways of creating problems, right? There might not be a problem creator there, but then their mind is there to create it, and they will create it. So the key thing is, at this age, if you're able to handle your mind, your emotions, and bring that awareness that I should go by my spiritual self, at the end of life, you wouldn't be running around creating problems. You'll be in peace, whether you're alone or with someone. Old people, when they're with someone, they have other kind of issues. Old people, when they're alone, they have other different kind of issues. But the issues will be there. How do I deal with it is all about fighting the sanskara. Because the sanskara will not tell you to succumb to it. The sanskara will say, fight it. But do you have the courage to say, I'm going to let it go? I would not go by the anger, I would not go by the deceit, I would not go by the greed. I would not go by ego. I would not go by jealousy. So that inner self, and that speaks that I don't want to choose to live with this, there is transformation of sanskara. There's a story which is very known story about Chanda Pradyot and Udayan. So they had a war. Ultimately, I think it is Udayan who wins the war. Chanda Pradyot is captivated. And a day comes when they are returning back to the kingdom. It is Samvatsari day. So on the day of Samvatsari, the king does fasting and doesn't eat anything. So Chanda Pradyot thinks that probably he's trying to give me food with the poison, and so he's trying to not eat and so that I would die. So he doesn't eat as well. But then he says Michhami Dukadam to him. He says, what does Michhami Dukadam mean? And then he explains the whole theory of Samvatsari, and he says, Chanda Pradyot raises a question. Do you think this is the Jain way of Michhami Dukadam, to put the other person in bondage and then say Michhami Dukadam? He listens to this, he frees him. So the Michhami Dukadam should come. He could have actually because Chandapradyut was the culprit, but still he had the courage to let him go. And that is the key thing. It wasn't that he like sometimes we think that I'm punishing him because he's wrong, or I'm being aggressive because the other person is wrong. Even whether the other person is right or wrong, can you choose to let go? Because the sanskara would say, the inner sanskara would motivate you to be angry. The inner sanskara would motivate you to be aggressive. The problem is that you choose to say no to it. And the most important thing in Jainism, which we believe, is the sanskara stays to the next life. So, if a person is angry in this life, we wouldn't say that 100% this is going to happen, but the probability is you will be born in a life where you get the opportunity to be angry. So if you are egoistic, you would be born into somewhere where you get the opportunity to be egoistic. Like the case of Chandakaushik, right? The snake Chandakaushik. He was an angry man. He died with anger. He was chasing the young kids in the garden who was trying to pluck more fruits. As he was chasing with anger, he died there with anger. What happened to his next life? He is a snake. So you see there, the kind of emotion one carries is passed on, and that drives the next life as well. We listen to the Parsh Bhagwan and Kamat story, right? They're constantly being born, dying, again and again together. We see in every life, Kamat is a killer and Parsh Bhagwan is forgiver. So the tendency which he carries in one life, until you don't transform it, don't stop yourself, that would carry on and on and on. So the key question is, what do I want to be myself in the next life? Like, what kind of being do I want to be in the next life? So start living that now, and that will follow you in the next life. If we look forward for ourselves as a peaceful being, let peace be today, because there's no tomorrow. If you want to go by being humble, forgive everyone today. There's no tomorrow. And that is the healing or the dealing of sanskara. See where the vacuum is within us, because the vacuum which we all carry is a different kind of vacuum. There are certain people who have problem with their eating habits. Some they have with their working habits. Some have with their relationship. Some have with dealing with money. Some have with dealing with different kind of emotions. So each one of us have a different kind of vacuum. And if we are able to diagnose that, because there's no one else who would know it, you know the best. So what is the problem which I carry? Which is a sanskara which I carry? Is it fear? It is greed? It's ego? It's deceit? And then start dealing with it. Then take opportunities to say no to it some moment in every day. The gradual and slow dealing with it, step by step. Sometimes people are very outgoing. Instantly they are able to say no to it. Like in case of Sanat Kumar Chakravarti, right? He was a Chakravarti. He had a very beautiful, like handsome looking body, and people would come to see him, just his elegance, his beauty. And when his beauties, the talk about his beauty went to the heaven, even the Devta came to see him. So one day a Brahmin, like a Devta, came in the form of a Brahmin. He visited Chakravarti, but he went to his palace. So there the Chakravarti said, why you have come here and looking at me now, but when you come to my court where I'm fully dressed and then you look at my beauty. So the Brahmin said, fine. He goes to the court and again sees him. But then the Brahmin discloses a truth. He says the beauty is no more existing. Yeah. So in the palace he was fine. He didn't say anything. In the court, it is lost. The king is surprised because he was egoistic and proud about his looks, his handsome this thing. And then the Brahmin says, bring a bowl of water, spit into it. When he spits, it's not the spit, it is germs. His body had been diseased. So now the body which he was proud about is no more a matter of proud. It is diseased, he is sick. Instantly he gives up his kingdom, he becomes an ascetic, and leads a life of asceticism. The shift which comes in him, the sanskara of ego which he carried, he was able to drop it instantly. There are moments in our life which there is a wave, there is a trigger, there is a spark which comes to us instantly. Something happens and we are shaken so much that we realize and accept a truth which we had known earlier but never accepted it before. This is true. Someone passes off suddenly whom you loved the dearest, and then you realize life is temporary. Or some disease comes up and you had never imagined that you could be unhealthy. You're so disciplined in your eating, exercise and everything, and yet the body is diseased. So the pride of the body, the health, the exercise goes to zero. So here, there are moments in each one of our life where we are shaken up. And if we take up those moments, it is in Acharya it says, the cause of bondage is the cause of liberation. The external situation could trigger you to a higher plane of spirituality or push you down to more depression. It's your choice. When there is a sanskara which is hitting you hard, how you take it makes a difference. If you fight and if you succumb to it, you're gone. But you kind of shift to a different plane, you're no more carrying the old baggage. So the courage to not carry the old baggage, the courage to say that I'm not the same person as I was earlier. There is a problem even here, right? If a person is in a higher position, has always been aggressive to take care of the whole management, and once the realization comes that I should not be aggressive, the question is, Samaniji, if I don't be aggressive now, no one's going to listen to me. How can I not be that and still the work goes on? It's not going to work. Especially with kids, mom tells, right? That if the mom is being like too disciplining to the child and we say, don't do this, says, it won't work, Samaniji, because this is the way it is. So the problem with that we carry an image and we think the moment I drop this image of being this, how will I survive in this family or in this business or in this situation, in this context with the people around. So we still want to hold on to what we were having in from the past. We are not ready for change because change is fearful, isn't it? But without change, is there a way out? No. Ultimately, it is change. Ultimately, it is transformation. Ultimately, it is catharsis of the sanskara. And there are different ways of doing it. There could be life incidents which gives us a trigger and we change. There could be mantras which helps us release our baggages. There could be meditation which could heal us. There could be recitation of certain compositions like logas and other things like bhaktamar which could bring in a change as well. So there are different methods, tools which we could use to release the baggage. Ultimately, the whole essence of spirituality is, can I take the courage to let go my sanskara, not go by it, not be fearful of losing it. not driven by the survival of body, mind, or thoughts or emotions, but the survival of my consciousness. Because when there is a dispute, whether it's a dispute outside in the world or within us, it is always we are looking for the survival of our emotions. It is very hard. If we have that fear, we want our fear to be there. We don't want to let it go. We don't want to. Our fear stops us from doing something. If we have ego, we want the ego to win in the battle. If we have other greed, our greed needs to be fulfilled in the battle, in the journey. And if this is not happening, if there is a big business and a person goes through a loss, it's a big trauma, right? Where's the problem? The ego problem that I am an expert in business is hurt. The greed problem that how can I have a loss is hurt. And then the inner survival thing says, no, I cannot lose it. I should, like the gambling thing, right? You want to gamble and gamble and gamble. Why? To make sure that you don't lose it. And if you've won it, you want to earn more out of it. You want to walk out as a winner. So the problem is, again, it comes to identity. If we identify ourselves as body, mind, and emotions, we go by the survival of our external identity. But if we go by the identity of the soul, then we would want to win the battle of the soul. Right? Many times the Kurukshetra battle is being considered as not an external, really happening thing. It is something which happened inside. And the senses and the mind are the external enemies which we fight with. So when we talk about this sanskara, the senses are mere tools for us to dwell on the external world. The drive is not the senses. The drive is the karmic imprints. So if we are able to hit on the karmic imprints, because sometimes we try to control our senses, there are different ways of dealing it. You could start your journey from controlling your senses and then controlling your emotions and then going into the karmic sanskara. And there could be clearing up the karmic sanskara so that everything is cleared up. Whether you choose this way or that way, the key thing is that there is this inside out, there is a chain of reactions. The soul and karma interacts. They have an imprint on our bhav, the emotions. They have an imprint on our mind. They have an imprint on our body. So there is a chain reaction, and the hitting the sanskara means to stop or break the journey, the interaction there. Actually, she's next saying, बंधा हुआ है आदमी फिर भी सदा स्वतंत्र, बंध मुक्ति का मर्म यह है जीवन का मंत्र, रहता कर्म विपाक में प्रिय अप्रिय से मुक्त, है रहस्य यह मुक्ति का सम्यक दर्शन युक्त. So first he says, बंधा हुआ है आदमी फिर भी सदा स्वतंत्र. So human being is bound, is in bondage, but is still having freedom or liberty. Is this true? Are we bound or are we free? Is there freedom or is this bondage?
Both.
Yes. So there is bondage. The bondage is of that we are bound in this physical body. There is this bondage of karmic baggage which we carry, but yet there is freedom. Now, how do you define that freedom? Where is the freedom in us, basically?
So,
Sorry?
if we sort of in this with the soul, if we every time instead of reacting or when we react, we think of the soul.
Exactly. So the liberty to choose or vote for the external layers or choose the soul is your freedom. He says, रहता कर्म विपाक में प्रिय अप्रिय से मुक्त है रहस्य यह मुक्ति का सम्यक दर्शन युक्त. So rahata karma vipak. Karma vipak means the fruition of the karma. The karma actually does give us an impact. It hurts us. It creates a situation. But in that situation, instead of going by attachment, aversion, going by like and dislike, can I stay neutral? है रहस्य यह मुक्ति का सम्यक दर्शन युक्त. So the ability to be neutral, or the choice of being neutral, is in our hands. Do I choose the path of like, dislike, or neutrality? That is where we carry the freedom. And that is our choice. It's not easy choice, right? Because many times it so happens that if you're winning in your internal world, you're losing in the external world. And the loss of the external world is fearful. But the ability to say it's okay for that should be our courage there. Because ultimately, without that, even in the Chanda Pradyot case or Udayan case or Gautam Swami, right? In the external world, people will think, oh, Gautam Swami made a mistake. Gautam Swami is Chaudapurno Jnani. He's the first disciple of Bhagwan Mahavir. How can he make a mistake? To able to deal with that and still say, well, I did it and I have to get rid of it. That courage to be ready for something external, but ultimately the winning should be internal. So there we have a choice. We are in the bondage. We are bound with the world. We are bound in many different ways. We are bound in the society. We are bound with the family. We are bound with our other responsibilities. So there are different levels of bondage which we carry, and ultimately the karmic bondage is the key bondage. But in all these bondages, still able to make a choice of being neutral is the essence of spirituality. Being neutral, you call it. Being state of the preksha, you call it. Being a state of observer, you call it. Yata drashta bhav, you call it. It is all one and the same. It takes a while, and there are simple techniques to it. You hold your breath and then observe the situation. You recite a mantra and then observe a situation. Because the moment you pick these tools, what are you trying to do? Before, when you were trying to analyze the situation, you were thinking of based on your past memory. So you took the help of your past memory to analyze the current situation. Suppose a person, there's an interaction between two people, and then one of them, the ex, realizes that when I say this, the other person doesn't like it. So then there's a memory imprint that this person doesn't like this. And probably it was just at that moment the person was too busy with something else and did not respond to it positively, whatever. Suppose a person talks about spirituality and the other person doesn't respond positively, then the first person makes a clause in the mind of the memory saying, this person doesn't like spirituality. But you never know, it was just an instantaneous thing which had happened at that time, at that situation for him. But what happens now, anytime there is an occasion of spiritual this person doesn't share the other person. Why? The memory is the tool which the person takes the help of to decide whom to share and whom not to share. There is a WhatsApp message that there is a retreat camp on 6th and 7th May and everyone is trying to forward their friends, but you choose to send those whom you think would join. And you would skip some of them. You think, no, these people might not be interested. Why did you make the choice? Your memory is a tool which you took a help of to decide there. Now, instead of choosing the memory as a helping hand to make decisions, choose to be neutral by. So when you try to choose a mantra, meditation, breath to focus on, and then make a decision that no, this is the way it's going to be, I'm not going to be aggressive, there the selection of the memory has been dropped and you choose to be in the now. So the ability to escape from the past baggage of memory, to make a decision with neutrality, with the spiritual tools, is the way you go about it. It's very simple actually. It is very effective. Again, nothing is like a magic stick, right? Magic wand that you move a stick and everything, the liberation is here. Liberation is happening every moment when we try to kind of go by peace rather than being aggressive. But the point is that we need to take small steps each moment and move forward. So here, the essence of whole spirituality is the essence that I'm free or I'm in bondage. Sometimes we think that I'm being bound by the responsibilities and so I cannot come. But who made a choice to pick those responsibilities for yourself? You. So you cannot blame that this responsibility is coming to me, because it is your choice to say that yes, I will take care of this. Right? So you, by your own love for the family, picks few responsibilities, and how can you complain about it? So even if there certain times there are issues. I mean, I'm not denying that there are no issues there. There are problems which is there around by people. But what I'm trying to say, ultimately, it's your choice. The problem is we do not like uncomfortable situation outside, so we try to accept or we are okay with the uncomfortable situation inside us, isn't it? But then ultimately, whether the situation outside is comfortable or not, we cannot have 100% control over it. But can I not be reactive to the external discomfort? Can I choose that? So that is very important. That whether there is a negative or a positive response outside, suppose I choose something because I don't want discomfort outside, fine. But then don't carry the baggage of it inside you. The problem with us is we want to make the world laugh, smile, be happy at the cost of being ourselves unhappy, right? But then have a smile in yourself as well, because ultimately only that would make your energy, your life run smoothly. Even you have made a choice for the world, don't carry the burden for yourself. Let go it, because letting go is the key to everything.
Samaniji,
Yeah.
yes, you mentioned that it's all about letting go, and that what's bhav and anubhav? How does that place? Is it a tool at all in this?
There is, because like anubhav, if you say that if you had a bad anubhav means experience, right?
No, what I meant was you have faith in God and you have what do you call it, love for God, and that keeps on driving you. Is there a tool at all? It doesn't seem to feature at all in this.
No, when I said mantra, if I have a devotion towards Parsh Bhagwan and I use the Parsh Bhagwan mantra as my tool, that is one way of looking at it. So the tool need not be in a sense of concrete like meditation or mantra, even like without any verbal construction of it. Even the bhav itself makes, for example, a person chooses something in certain context because he thinks or she thinks that, well, this will keep my God happy. I don't want to be against my God, or I don't want to be against my faith or against my practice. So the strong conviction that I practice this because I want to be with the godly energy or the spiritual energy. I mean, we use the word God or not, spirituality. So that faith, that commitment to it is all about it. Now, whether it is in the form of a devotion or dedication or a mantra or meditation, these are all different. I mean, these are different ways you channelize your energy, basically. So the whole point in psychology, we say that if there is anger, you could channelize to being bursting out. You could re-channelize it to being kind of neutral, or you could make that energy as creative energy. So there is same anger within three people, but three people respond very differently. One of them would go and fight with someone, the other one would try to kind of calm that down, and the third one would use that to kind of channelize it for something very productive and different. So there is this channelization of energy, and you could do it through mantra or devotion or dedication or power, your conviction towards certain belief system. So when you say that, no, this is my belief that I don't lose my temper, you've drawn a line for yourself, you go by your belief, you go by your commitment, and then when situations come, you make an attempt to smile. So so there could be different kinds of tools. I mean, these tools are more from the spiritual platform. The non-spiritual platform, there could be music, there could be other ways of dealing with it. Like there are people who went to a very disastrous situation and they became great painters or great people or great experts in their field. So that expertise came out because of a push or the shaky situation which they went through, and that energy they channelized into something more productive. So there are people, when they find something depressive situation, a person might go into losing everything, getting disconnected from the not being peaceful and not being able to take it, or the person could actually use it for more productive. And we find people who have brought in a big shift and big contributions after something they went through. So there, the energy which was there, they were able to channelize it into a different level, and that made a big impact on their lives. So the technique could be any, basically. The whole point is that awareness within us, that should I succumb to my sanskara or should I let it go, and there should be a process of catharsis. And the moment you say that I need to let it go, I need to delete it, there should be a catharsis, that awareness helps you. It will automatically, eventually you will find your own way. Initially you might be guided by a guru or someone, a book or a technique, but as you grow, it comes to you, because now you're in the field, you're in the ocean, now you know how. Like initially there are certain tips and techniques. When you jump into the ocean, there is basic training for your swimming. But suppose some tides come up in the ocean which you're not familiar with, it's something new, but you try to do something or the other to kind of survive there. So initially you need to help yourself with basic techniques to channelize your mind positively, channelize your emotions positively. Once you're into it, you will start running there without even, like the help will come from within you rather than from external, actually. Yes? Okay, so we stop here, and I'm not sure if we'll have one more session before the retreat. Probably. So we'll see if that's the last session, then we'll have the concluding session, or this might be the concluding session, I'm not sure. Okay, so we'll do it.
Samaniji, can I ask a question? Just talking about the tools, you mentioned there are different tools, and different tools will work differently for different people.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we hear that somebody's given a mantra, that start off with this mantra, that will help you.
Mm-hmm.
How does one find which tool to start off with? There's so many.
There is so many. Usually when you receive a tool, did it click to you? Did it work for you? Is something which you have to ask for yourself. And if you have too many, like it's just try, basically. Trial and error is one thing, and the other thing is, once you keep trying, you will know that this is the tool which I'm able to do it very instantly. It's it helps me much more faster than the other tools. So there could be different ways of analyzing those things, basically. Yeah. Yes,
I just add something. Recently I just read somewhere
mm-hmm.
in India there's a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
She is using Bhaktaman Stotra
Yeah.
to heal patients.
Yes. So Meena is also very connected with Manjuji. So Manjuji is using Bhaktamar as a healing technique. Now there are Bhaktamar, Logas, there are many different mantras who have higher powers. And again, we believe that, I think probably I did mention this last time or some session before, that the dosage which we give, the spiritual therapy, should be stronger than the disease itself. Like, when we have uh, any health issue like thyroid, so we have different mgs of thyroid which we take. Some takes 50 and some 75 and 100. So it all depends on the issue, to what intensity the issue is. Similarly here, when we the initiative is actually very great initiative. People are getting help by this, and to see that there is a help within the tradition. Many times people run around for different other faiths, thinking that, oh, I have this problem, so I go for this god and that god. So within Jainism, there is in so many mantras, so many practices which one could choose to help oneself. So there are mantras, there are these compositions, these are miraculous, because the state in which it was composed itself was not a common conscious state, it was at a higher plane. So we know that it was miraculous in the first day when it was composed. It is amazingly helpful even today. The whole point is actually how rigorously we use them, and to what intense faith, intense dedication, intense engrossment we actually apply them. We are saying Naukar mantra, but even myself, right? I might say someday Naukar mantra with that intensity, and someday I have something running fast, and so it's just I have to, because I'm committed to doing it, I might just do it. So there are different ways we do these practices. So the problem is, can we dive into it while we are doing it? And that intensity of practice actually makes a big difference.
Because we say in karma that intensity is, karma is bound by intensity.
Yes.
In that case, it's all about intensity, isn't it?
It is the attack of the karma would depend on the intensity it is bound, and the intensity of bondage is decided by the intensity of the emotion we carried while it was bound. So it's a whole chain reaction. When the karma is bound, if we have intense emotion, the bondage is very severe. So when it is severe bondage, intense bondage, the fight, I mean the attack of the karma is also intense. And so when we have to heal it, we need to have an intense practice as well. But keep going, we'll reach there someday again. Right? We'll conclude here. We'll complete the Samayik first. नौवे सामायिक व्रत में जो कोई अतिचार दोष लगाओ तो मैं उसकी आलोचना करती हूँ। मन की सावध्य प्रवृत्ति की हो, वचन की सावध्य प्रवृत्ति की हो, शरीर की सावध्य प्रवृत्ति की हो, सामायिक के नियमों का पूरा पालन न किया और सामायिक को अवधि से पहले पूरा किया, इनसे लगे मेरे पाप मिथ्या हो। नमो अरहंताणं, नमो सिद्धाणं, नमो आयर्याणं, नमो वज्राणं, नमो लोये सव्वसाहुणं। नमो अरहंताणं, नमो सिद्धाणं, नमो आयर्याणं, नमो वज्राणं, नमो लोये सव्वसाहुणं। नमो अरहंताणं, नमो सिद्धाणं, नमो आयर्याणं, नमो वज्राणं, नमो लोये सव्वसाहुणं। एसो पंचनमुक्कारो सवपावपणासनो मंगलानं च सव्वेसिं परमं हवनं। Again, request, I would say that if you have already registered for the camp, make sure that you have your friends and others know about it, and they register as well. It's a great opportunity. We're going to be 4 Samanijis, and the theme is transform yourself, and we all need to transform, right? And we have interesting topics coming up as well. We have sessions for younger kids, like age 3 and plus and 7 and plus. So we are having separate sessions for them, and we really need to know who is joining so that we can make arrangements accordingly. So we hope you are able to get in your friends as well. By the way, all of you here have registered, right? Hopefully.
We have to register. We'll
You
do
have to
it.
register.
Yeah.
Anyone else is not registered?
Yeah,
Okay.
So if you have, I mean, it's still in the planning procedure. I think you should plan it earlier, like soon, because it helps the management. Right? Namo Arhantanang, Namo Siddhanang, Namo Ayariyanang, Namo Vajjayanang, Namo Loe Savvasahunang. Eso Panchana Mukkaro, Sava Pavpanasano, Mangalananch Savvesi, Padamang Havai Mangalam, Chattari Mangalam, Arhanta Mangalam, Siddha Mangalam, Sahu Mangalam, Kevali Pannatto Dhammo Mangalam. Chattari Loguttama, Arhanta Loguttama, Siddha Loguttama, Sahu Loguttama, Kevali Pannatto Dhammo Loguttama. Chattari Saranam Pavajjami, Arhante Saranam Pavajjami, Siddhe Saranam Pavajjami, Sahu Saranam Pavajjami, Kevali Pannattang Dhammang Saranam Pavajjami. Dhammo Mangala Mukkittham Ahimsa Sanjamutavo Devavitang Namang Santi Jassa Dhamme Sayamano Chaita Bharaham Vasam Chakkavarthi Mahidhiyo Santi Santi Kariloe Pattu Gai Manuttarang Devadanav Gandhava Jakkarakkasa Kinnara Bambhayaring Namang Santi Dukkarang Shekarintitam Mangalam Bhagavan Viro Mangalam Gotamo Gani Mangalam Stuli Bhadradya Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam Mangalam Matimana Bhikshu Mangalam Har Mallaka Mangalam Rai Chandradya Mangalam Tulasi Guru Mahapragyostu Mangalam Mahashramanostu Mangalam Viganaharana Mangala Karana Swama Bhikshuno Nam Gunamolaka Sumirana Kiya Sare Achintya Kamanguthe Amrit Vasi Labdhi Tana Bhandar Shri Guru Gautama Samariye Manavanchit Phalidata. So you can take a 1 day's tyag, anything you can think of. Dev Guru or Dhan Krishna ji say tyag.
Katyosmi,
हम सब आपके आभारी हैं। कृतज्ञोस्मि, हम सब आपके आभारी हैं। कृतज्ञोस्मि, हम सब आपके आभारी हैं।